Hello, you are watching the Academic Forum here on Better Future Production. I am Lamin El Sanya. The Gambia health sector has been in crumbles and this situation has not gotten any better for many years now. Many women die during childbirth. Many people die in avoidable circumstances. Could this be as a result of the fact that the National Garden, which is supposed to produce productive and well-trained medical personnel that will handle the affairs of our medical sector, is being neglected by the authorities? Yes, the University of the Gambia School of Medicine is in crumbles and medical students are suffering. To discuss more on this issue, I am joined today by the President and the Vice President of the University of the Gambia Medical Students Association. They will introduce themselves. Welcome to the Academic Forum.
Thank you, Mr. Sanya.
So can you please introduce yourself?
Thank you very much, Mr. Sayang. Thank you to our dear listeners and their viewers. My name is Alhagie Ceesay. I am the president of the University of the Gambia Medical Students Association, and we are happy to be on this platform today, the Academic Forum, to discuss the problems that the medical students are facing in the University of the Gambia. So thank you for having us, Mr. Sayang.
Hello, everyone. I am Anthony Jatta, a fifth-year medical student, and I am the Vice President of the University of the Gambia Medical Students Association. Glad to be here.
Yes, Mr. President. In brief, what are the challenges, the major challenges that medical students are facing?
Well, it's rather unfortunate that you said in brief, because the problems we face cannot be stated in brief. However, I'm going to just try to do justice to the question. Our topmost challenge right now that is keeping every executive member on his or her toe is the issue of our residential hall, which is also regarded as the dormitory. This is one big challenge that I believe we are going to deal with today extensively. We also are faced with issues of electives, which we are trying to revive. We are also faced with issues of research. We are faced with issues of electricity, classroom sizes, which I believe is a ubiquitous problem in the University of the Gambia.
Yes,
Plus research. This and among many other things are problems that we face as University of the Gambia medical students.
Yes, we will go into these problems one at a time. You, Vice President, can you tell us the major challenges that you face with regards to your dormitories?
Yes, with the dormitories, it is very unfortunate to know that the University of the Gambia Medical School doesn't really have a student dormitory that we can say, yes, this is a dormitory that belongs to the School of Medicine, and it is the medical students that are residing there. In the past, we've been accumulating the dormitory of the School of Nursing, that is the Gambia College, and then of recent, they have informed us that, they too, their students need the space that university students are occupying in their dormitories, because they equally face the challenges we face, transportation, and then the need for, just like our students, the need for them to be close to the, to be in close proximity with the hospital. They too need that. So it is with that they have given us a notice for us to leave the place, and that is currently our main problem that we are having with the dormitory, and such that the medical students, if we happen to be evicted from the dormitory that we are currently occupying, we may not have anywhere to go to. Although I would put it that the school has given us, has rented an apartment, a story building, where a few medical students are occupying, but then that really is not a solution. It's not the way forward, because if you look at it, it is out of over almost 400 medical students. It is only 48 that are occupying that dormitory, and then we have around 56 plus medical students that are occupying the dormitory at the School of Nursing, and then those 56 are asked to leave now. So if they leave, where exactly would they go to? That is the dilemma we are facing right now as an association.
Yes, Mr. President, I understand that as medical students, you need to live close to the hospital, and your dormitories is very close to the hospital. That is the college dormitories where you are in right now.
Sure.
So if you are evacuated, how far is the place that you are going to be taken to, and how would that impact your learning since you're going to be that far from the hospital?
Like you rightly stated, being in the medical school means you require a place that is very close to the hospital, that you can walk into the hospital anytime and have your hands on certain practices and see patients. So as I am speaking to you right now, there's nothing clear yet. We don't know where we're going to if we are evicted from the college dormitory. The contingency plan that the our school authority is working towards achieving is the Old Atlantic Hotel, which is not far from the hospital, but compared to the current dormitory, the current one is a bit closer to the hospital compared to that one. However, we will be happy to have that as a plan right now, and to make sure that the school administration are going to work towards having another dormitory, which is going to be a dormitory that belongs to the School of Medicine and Allied Health Sciences, or the School of Medicine itself, so that in the future we are not going to be evicted. So this is posing a threat to many students, because a lot of them are final year medical students, others are 6th-year medical students. In short, they are clinical students. So and a lot of them also are international students who do not have anywhere to live besides the dormitory. So if we leave by the 15th of December, where are those people going to? We really do not know. So this is where we are calling on the authorities. We are doing our utmost best on the 16th Executive Council to work with all the stakeholders involved, that is the University of the Gambia medical students.
We'll talk about your efforts on what you do in order to address this situation. But in the meantime, you understand that this dormitories has been occupied by the medical students for many years now, if not decades. And this dormitories is owned by the Gambia College. But we realize that your students who are living in these dormitories face some water challenges, water scarcities, electricity problems, sanitation, sanitary facilities. It's also another problem that medical students face. Can you please elaborate more on that?
Yes, that is actually very right. These are problems that have been going on for quite a while now, and such that we have water scarcity at the dormitory. If you look at it, the issue of sanitation is something that is very paramount. I mean, even to us as future health personnel, we have to be very clean to our environment, and personally we have to maintain that personal hygiene. But if this water scarcity is something that is really going on within our dormitory, I mean, it will pose a threat to ourselves, our health, and also to the people that we are going to see in the hospitals. So the University of the Gambia, the Medical Students Association, what we have done in the past, it was not our executive, but the previous executive have really tried in collaboration with the nursing students to sort of do certain renovations at the dormitory of the college, and then from then the sanitation had improved for a bit now, and then but then it wasn't really that sort of renovation and all those things that were provided were not really enough up to date, and until now those problems are still existing.
Yeah, I also visited the school, the dormitories where you live in, and I also visited your sanitary facilities like the toilets, the bathrooms, and I found out that there was no water, and the place was smelly. It was not good. How does that affect your health?
Yes, just as I mentioned earlier, it is an issue of personal hygiene. If you wake up early in the morning, you have to make sure you take your shower to make sure
how
you.
will you take your shower in such
Exactly. So you see, these are some of the challenges that really need to be addressed. That authorities have to be put in place, and then our perspective in it is that we ought to collaborate with the executive of the School of Nursing to see to it that some of those issues are fixed. But then the problem we are having right now is we are being evicted. So if we are being evicted, we may not be able to be in collaboration with them to see to it that their dormitory is we work together to see that those problems are put to are solved.
Yes, Mr. President. As medical students, you need to practicalize the theories that you learn in classes in order for you to be able to familiarize yourselves with the fundamentals of medical practices. So if you do not have a standard lab where these practices can be done, how is that going to affect your education?
That's really going to affect our education in a very huge way, because part of our curriculum we do something that's called laboratory medicine, and during that course you are required to learn certain things in theory, but you also need to go into the labs and practicalize those things like you Medicine. However, it is rather unfortunate that in the School of Medicine, we don't have those labs that are, well equipped for us to go and do those practicals.
Do you even have a lab of medicine, School of Medicine in this office?
As far as I'm concerned, I don't know any lab that belongs to the School of Medicine and Allied Health Sciences. We have certain laboratories that are within the purview of the hospital, but to be frank with you, those are not well-equipped labs that are, that are substantial enough to, cater for the needs that we have as medical students. So this is really posing as a threat to our education, and we need to graduate students that are very doctors that are very equipped when it comes to laboratory medicine, because laboratory medicine is key into the practice of medicine. So if you don't have those labs, it poses as a threat. So we need the school administration plus the Ministry of Higher Education to look into these things so that we have standard labs where we can do such practicals. But the only thing that we do right now is, we have pictures of these things that we were supposed to see, in real life, but we only see pictures and,
Yeah. So as a medical student, we understand how important the medical field is. And medical field, you have to understand what you're doing. And if you graduate as a doctor, you do not understand, and you do not understand what you have been taught, you do not practicalize the things that you have been taught, rather you only learn the theories. Do you think you're going to be able to deliver well when you start?
Absolutely not. You need you need a standard education, and this includes labs. So that's why I said again, we are calling on the authorities to, help us with very equipped labs. Or if not, I think you have it part of your agenda. That's the issue of the electives. This is where we go to certain countries and see certain labs so that we equip our students with laboratory medicine knowledge. Because from the recent batch that graduated, part of the problems that they've told me is the fact that they've not been going into the labs to see what really is happening. So you cannot graduate as a good doctor without having a good background of what laboratory medicine is.
Yes, we're running out of time, so we're going to go for our first break. But before that, the medical school has been in this country for years. And for years, this lab has not been there. Do you think that the government is neglecting the medical school?
Yes, I'm glad you've mentioned that the medical school has been there for years. And in fact, there is a fact that has it that the Faculty of Medicine is the oldest in the university. So yes, I feel there is some sort of a neglect from the government. It's like they have not invested enough in health. And then if you do not have, we're all talking about development, national development. But if you don't have a healthy nation, how can you develop? So it is actually true that the government has to, put in more into the field of medicine, to the study of medicine. Otherwise, I mean, it will be a problem to the general public if we cannot, have standardized places where medical students can learn their course to become better doctors for the Gambia.
I also communicated with some students in the School of Medicine, and they told me that you have one course like surgery.
Yes.
But they say you do it in a particular theater, and sometimes the place itself is very small, and the students are many. Sometimes when they go for it, they will be sent out, and they will tell them the place is full. How are they going to learn the skills if they are sent out?
Yes, these are, of course, is among the challenges we are facing, because if you look at it, it appears the medical school is taking a lot of, like, there is an interest in the study of medicine, and they are having a lot of students coming in, but then the School of Medicine doesn't have the capacity to sort of accommodate the large numbers that are coming in. So you'll find out that the theaters we have, if you have, say, a class of 59 students, and you have a small space where the students, at times, they have to go and attend these surgeries, you will not be able to accommodate all those 59 students. So what happens is these students will be divided into groups, and if these students are divided into groups so that a small chunk of them will fit into the lab, others will miss the case that was that had been presented, and then this will deprive the others to sort of not have the opportunity to learn that case. And also, if another group comes in, the case that will be presented, the other group will not have that opportunity to see. So this is why we need investment in health, and we need a sort of a greater facility, a bigger facility that can a standardized medical school, because what we have here is not really enough to accommodate for the incoming students that are having interest in the field of medicine.
Yes, medicine, health is a priority. And if the government does not invest in the field of medicine or medical studies, the health system is bound to crumble. We'll go for a short commercial break. We'll be right back.
Hello, lovelies. I'm Miss Hadijo. I'm super ecstatic to introduce to you to our latest talk show called The Personality. It is geared towards uplifting home growth, wisdom, and impact deriving from geographical spheres. The Personality program shall be a medium where we invite relevant authorities and private individuals to discuss on issues ranging from psychology, scrutinized government officials, and other untapped individuals from various demographics in the Gambia. Join me every Wednesday from 1500 hours to 1600 hours GMT on Facebook, YouTube, and Instagram at Better Feature Production to delve deeper into facts and figures.
You're reminded that you're watching the Academic Forum, and I am Lamin Elsanya. Welcome back. Mr. President, we were talking about the challenges you faced, especially with regards to the availability of enough facilities in the Edward Francis Small Teaching Hospital. And I understand that Edward Francis Small Teaching Hospital, like you said, does not have enough equipment for your practicals and other experiments. But then electives become a highly recommended priority. And I've understood that for 5 years now, these electives has not been happening in the medical school. Can you please explain to us what the electives are, why hasn't it been happening, and how is it going to affect the medical students?
Thank you, Lavin. And when we talk about electives, for those people that are outside the medical fraternity, they think it's just an optional course that we do as medical students. However, that is far away from the actual reality. The electives, are part of our curriculum. They are highly recommended part of our curriculum. So the electives are for those students that are into their clinical years, that is 5th year going to 6 years. So due to the fact that we don't have the necessary equipment, like you mentioned, in the Edward Francis Small Teaching Hospital, and we don't have the teaching aids that are required to do certain things, the electives then becomes very recommended. So what used to happen is it was funded by the former regime, the office of the president, of course, but since his time elapsed, the electives have died, actually. So a task force has been formed by the class that is due currently to look into reviving the electives. So they've taken some substantial steps towards, reviving the electives. So what it entails is one going to a country that is outside the Gambia. It could be Europe, it could be Asia, it could be Africa. It depends on the funds that are available. So the government of the Gambia used to give a particular amount of money to every student in that particular class that is due for electives. But like I said, that has stopped. So the task force has written to the office of the president of the Republic of the Gambia, who approved their budget and directed them to the Ministry of Higher Education. And there were several meetings that were held between the task force, UniGaMSA, and the stakeholders involved in this matter. However, we resorted to the University of the Gambia, and after a series of meetings and long push and pulls, they promised that they are going to sponsor the electives. However, what they are going to give is very limited compared to the budget that was written to the office of the president, which was approved. But given the nature of the circumstances at which this budget was written and the time frame given to respond to the budget, we can understand the shortage of the authorities. However, this is something that we cannot let continue, because we need to improve on this, because the elective is a very necessity, it's a very necessary thing that we have to do as medical students. So what it does, it exposes you to different teaching methodologies, different environments, different labs, different hospitals, and you compare those things to the Gambia, and it molds you to become a very, very good doctor. So we do not only want to produce doctors that are just doctors for the Gambia, but we want to produce doctors that are able to work anywhere in the world. So this electives is going to help them do that. So it's a highly recommended adventure that the medical students really deserve of, and we are calling on the authorities to help us. So one problem that is currently happening is the fact that this current batch are asked to go to Dakar, and the government are going to sponsor or fund the trip. However, what I am not supporting is the fact that they are using previous batches that went to Dakar as a yardstick to give fund to this current batch. Things have changed a bit. The prices of certain things in the last 2 years are no more the same prices. So you cannot use the same prices to give them fund. So that is something that I believe the government needs to look into. And using Dakar, I understand why they're using Dakar, and I respect that. But if we can extend our hands and Dakar, given the fact that it's a francophone country and we are Anglophone, might pose a bit of threat when it comes to communication. So other countries that speak English will be preferable. Yeah.
Yes, we understand electives here involve medical students being exposed to outside the world to study the medical practices that have been done there, compare it to what is happening in the country. And when they come back, they will be able to improve the health system in this country. But this thing has not been happening for 5 years now. And do you think the government stopped this purposely, or the government does not even care about health system?
I may not be able to tell exactly the purpose or the reason the government stopped this, but I think it all boils down to the government's lack of adequate investment in health. Yes.
And the government needs to invest more in health, especially in health.
Of course. Our students have to go out there to we don't have to close ourselves to the borders of the Gambia. So we have to go out there and learn the ways of the how they are doing things outside, and then the things that we do not have here, let us be exposed to them. So this is one of that the electives will give us.
And we talk about research. We understand that at your final year, if I'm not mistaken, you are forced to write a research thesis. And if you look at the entire university of the Gambia, almost there isn't any school where research as a course is taught. And how would this affect you? Because if you are not taught to do something and you are forced to do it, how is that going to affect you?
Yes. Generally, research is something that is lacking in the Gambia. Most of the times when we have our lectures, our professors will tell us, most of the statistics that will be collected are those from, the West, America, Europe. Those are hardly you find in our lectures statistics that are collected in the Gambia. That is because there is not that, research put in place. So also, if it comes to the medical students, we write thesis by the end of our curriculum, by the end of our studies. Then the research not being part of the curriculum of the School of Medicine, so students will really find it hard to go about writing research proposals, let alone having to come up with it and then present it to the officials. So this has been really a challenge, and it is one of our agendas as an executive to sort of organize research seminars, because myself, I have no idea on how to go about writing research proposals. So if this happens to come in place, it will help a lot of us to
I believe
have an understanding.
That's going to come in place with the leadership of Mr. Kemokwan, who is currently the research minister.
We hope so.
Yes. However, I understand also that there is very little, a small library in the School of Medicine, and I have been exposed to that library and I realized that it can barely contain 10 people. How will this help you in terms of solving your assignments and medical issues? Because the library is very little, small, and the books are also very small in a whole medical school.
I'm happy that you've seen the library, and the library is not just for medical students, it's for the School of Medicine and Allied Health Sciences, which contains different schools. For just the School of Medicine, we have at least 400 students. So, you add the public health students, the UTG nursing students, and, the dentistry students. Where can they, how can they use the library? It's practically impossible. So we need a standardized library with books, with proper Wi-Fi that the students are, going to sit at their leisure time, do their researches, do their homeworks, and in fact use the library to study. But this has been a problem. That library, like you said, contain 10 people, so how can people go there and study? So it's a problem for us. Instead of our students using the library, they use other classes, which again, are not up to date. Some of them do not have proper ACs, some of them do not have text where students are going to use. So we need library. We are calling on the authorities to standardize our library and build a multi-purpose library for us.
Yeah, talking about DEX, I also understand that there are at least 6 classes, not more than 10 classrooms in the school of medicine. I've been made to understand. But many schools, like you mentioned, School of Alhagie, midwifery, nursing, that are all using these classrooms. How is that a challenge? And how big is that challenge?
Like I said in the beginning, the issue of classroom is a general problem in the University of the Gambia, but the School of Medicine is at its peak. Like you said, we have 6 classes from the 15th cohort to the 28th cohort, plus the other classes within the UTG, the nursing, the public health students. So it becomes a huge problem if 2 classes or 3 classes have to have lectures at the same time. So you see that a particular class will come and they'll have to sit and wait for the lecture of this class to end before they can have their lectures. Some of them, in fact, will have to, go home or do something else before they have a place to, to have their lectures. In fact, one thing as well is the fact that the class sizes are very, very small compared to the number of students that are to occupy those classes. Imagine a class of 59 or 60 students occupying, a very small class. That is not conducive for our health. It's not good for us to understand what is being taught. So I believe the authorities have something to do with regards to this problem. And the other thing is, has to do with the issue of the furniture. You go to certain classes.
Even going to that.
Exactly, you don't have proper furniture for some students to sit on or to use while they're having classes. I've been told by certain students that they have to stand while having lectures, which is really, really pathetic.
Yeah, we're running out of time. I wanted to bring the issue of furniture. However, this guy also talked about it, so I would like us to move to the lecturer to student language barrier. I've been made to understand that most of your lecturers come from Cuba. And Cuba, these Cuban lecturers, some of them, their English is not very good. They don't have a good command of the English language. And sometimes when they're explaining, students find it hard to understand what they say. How does this happen?
Yes, the Cuban lecturers, and if you go back through history, you'd find out that the medical school was started by a Cuban medical team, and then they provided some really great doctors. But then with time you would realize that the School of Medicine has grown. I think the problem with the Cuban lecturers, of course, we have really good lecturers. Some of them are specialists, but then the problem is they have a they are unable to express themselves sometimes, because at times the lecturers that come, they have a difficulty with the language, which makes the learning process unnecessarily difficult for students, because it will be very hard for a lecturer to stand before you to give a lecture, and then the lecturer doesn't have proper command of the English language. So that makes the learning process unnecessarily difficult, which is why we are grateful to the Cuban lecturers. Of course, they have been really impactful in the School of Medicine, but I think we need more Gambian-based lecturers, or lecturers from the sub-region who wouldn't have any problem with the language.
Yeah, because if you look at this situation, you realize that someone who is teaching a particular course, particular field of study, as important as medicine is, should be able to express themselves in a very, very good manner, wherein the students will be able to understand. Because if you make a mistake in medical practices, that may lead to a loss of life, right? So, don't you think that there is a better way of the government dealing with this, wherein they would allow lecturers from Cuba who can speak English?
Yes, I am not really, no, very conversant with how they. I know we have our officials from the School of Medicine that would go there to interview them before they come here, but I am quite skeptical. I am doubtful about how they go about those interviews because in the end, I mean, some of them that end up coming to our classrooms, I mean, if our administration actually goes there to interview them, why would they bring people who cannot really express themselves in the English language? I mean, regardless the fact that we have a good number of them that are really good in their special areas.
Okay, we're running out of time here, but if you look at this, if the administration goes to interview the lecturers, from in Cuba, they should be able to determine whether these people can speak good English or not. Yeah, but if that is not done properly, then we are bound to fail. Let's talk about the transportation issue. How big is this challenge?
It's also another big challenge in the School of Medicine.
Every challenge is big.
Yeah, it looks like all of our challenges are very, very big challenges, but this is another major challenge that we are facing in the School of Medicine. And I'm happy that we have ushered in a new executive council in the University of the Gambia, the SU. And, I believe this is something that they are going to look into. We have people that come from various places in the Gambia, ranging from Brikama, all the way to, Burfoot, Bursubi, you name them to come to the School of Medicine and have their lectures as This is located in Banjul, so you have to be in class as early as 8 a.m. or 8:30 a.m. So, given the nature of the road currently, or the traffic issues we have currently, it's very, very, or practically impossible, unless you are somebody that can wake up very, very early, let's say 5 or 6. That coupled with your studies becomes very difficult to be in class, and on time. So we are really working towards, having a means of transport for our students, probably with the SU and the University of the Gambia facility manager.
This is talk about your efforts in a minute. Yeah, but you want to add something to the transport challenges?
The transport challenges, yes. It is sad to know that the University of the Gambia School of Medicine, we've never really had a bus for specifically for our school, and then I believe at some point we are treated unfairly by the past executive of the student union. Although there was a time we were handed a school bus, but then surprisingly it did not even go for a week. I think it only applied the rules for 2-3 days, and then it stopped. We were told that the bus had to be used to transport some students for the attend to the number for the students week, and then after that we follow-ups were made. We were told that the bus has a breakdown, and then until now, there's no bus for us.
Yes, so as an executive that is running the affairs of medical students, we can make this quick. What have you done in your capacity to address these challenges, all the challenges that have you done as an executive?
Yeah, we're working tirelessly as an executive council. By the way, we are just a couple of months, 2 months or so into office. So we're first of all trying to, get our hands on the problems and relay the problem to the right person. So as I'm speaking to you, we have had some courtesy calls with some people that we believe can help us solve this problem. People like our provost, and we want a very, good relationship with the school administration, because that's the only way we can solve some of these problems. As students, we are there, we are relating the problem of the students to the administration. So if the administration is not open enough to receive that information, it becomes a problem. That's why we've had a courtesy call with them. In fact, we now have a WhatsApp group with them, so that every problem we have, we can relate to them. We are going to also make sure we have a meeting with the acting DC of the University of the Gambia to make sure they're aware of some of these problems. But they're aware of some of them, but there are others that they need to be really, really aware of. So we are going to try as much as possible as a council or as an executive council to make sure that the right authorities are going to, receive the information.
Yes.
We are not going to rest, to be frank, because we swore an oath, to serve the need of our students.
Yeah, I wouldn't go this way. I expect and I hope that you as an executive will work hand in glove to make sure that all the problems of the medical students are solved, or the problems that they're facing are solved. Because we solve the problems of the medical students. We are indirectly solving the problems that we face in our health sector. But finally, since we've run completely out of time, I'll give you maybe 30 seconds. You say a message to the government. What message you have to the government?
If we do not have a healthy nation, we cannot develop. If you do not invest into the School of Medicine, I mean, we will not have good doctors as supposed to make sure that the health of the nation is secured. So we have to invest in health as you're supposed to.
Yes, so I think it has to be the same message. Let them come and support us, the School of Medicine and Allied Health Sciences, because the complaint that we've been receiving is the fact that the medical school is they use a lot of money, but medical education is expensive anywhere in the globe. So we don't want the government to be complaining because they are putting some fund into certain areas. We need very good doctors for us to have a healthy nation. Having a handful of healthy doctors means we're going to have a healthy nation. So we encouraging them to to spend on the School of Medicine and Allied Health Sciences. We have proper doctors.
Thank you very much, Mr. President. And this is where we're going to draw the curtain since we've completely run out of time. But I would like to bring them here again so we can discuss more on the challenges that the medical school is going through. Because if the medical school is in crumbles, indirectly our health system is in crumbles. So till I come your way next week, I am Lamin El Sanyang, and this is the Academic Forum.